I need to get this out. Not for a campfire story, not for a screenplay, but to exorcise it from the corner of my mind where it festers. The more time passes, the more I realize that my life is divided into two parts: before Utah and after. We were 5 friends, flushed with the arrogance of our early 20s. There was me, Jason, my roommate Dylan, his girlfriend Becca, my cousin Matt, and Aaron, the pragmatic one.
The drive down was a descent into an alien planet. The mountains flattened into mesas, and the sky expanded into a terrifyingly empty blue vault. We stopped at a solitary gas station 15 miles from the trailhead, a place of dust, faded signs, and sun-bleached beef jerky. The proprietor was an older native man with a braid of gray hair and a face carved from granite. He watched us load water jugs with a heavy, unblinking stare.
"You all heading out to camp?" he asked. Dylan, trying to be the leader, rattled off our route. The old man's eyes flicked up, not with surprise, but with resignation. "He'll get you if you're not careful," the man said softly. "You stay on the main drainages, and listen to me. You don't go calling each other at night."
We exchanged glances. "Calling each other?" I asked. "Like yelling?" "After dark," he said, leaning over the counter. "You don't say nobody's name. If you hear your name and you can't see who said it, you stay put. You don't answer. You don't go looking. Some things out there, they just borrow voices." He pushed the water toward us. "That land remembers. Don't whistle at night."
We laughed about it in the truck, mocking the spooky warning. But as we hiked into the shimmering heat of the wash, a cold knot formed in my stomach. I couldn't forget how the man's eyes had gone flat, like a reptile's. The first day was deceptive. The canyon was a cathedral of red and orange stone, beautiful and harsh. We made camp on a flat bench above the wash. As the sun set, the temperature dropped, and we felt the isolation settle over us. Then the coyotes began. It started as a standard chorus, yips and howls echoing off the canyon walls. But then the sound cut off. It didn't fade. It was severed, as if someone had hit a mute button on the desert. The silence. It was pressurized. No crickets, no wind, just a void. "I hate that," Aaron muttered. We slept uneasily. Sometime after midnight, I snapped awake. The silence was still absolute, but now it was occupied. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Footsteps. Not the skitter of a lizard or the trot of a coyote. These were heavy, bipedal steps moving through the sand. They circled our tent slowly, with a sickening deliberation.
They paused near Dylan and Becca's tent, then moved to ours. I lay frozen, listening to the nylon wall of the tent sag inward just inches from my face. Something was leaning against it. Something tall. It stayed there for a full minute, listening to us breathe before moving on.
Morning brought the light, but not relief. We found the prints. Circling the perimeter of our camp were tracks. They were bipedal, but the spacing was wrong, too long for a human stride. The prints themselves were elongated, as if a human foot had been stretched out like taffy. "Coyotes don't walk on 2 legs, Aaron said, her voice trembling. We pushed on, but the atmosphere had shifted. The canyon felt like a trap.
That afternoon, the mimicry began. I walked down the wash to urinate. As I zipped up, I heard Becca's voice, clear as a bell, from around the bend ahead. "Jason, come look at this."
I walked around the corner. The canyon was empty. "Becca?" I called. "Down here! Hurry up!" The voice came from 2 directions at once. I spun around to find Becca, Dylan, and Aaron standing behind me eating lunch. They hadn't moved. Becca hadn't said a word. Echoes, I told myself, but the dread was rooting deep.
Later that evening, the entity stopped hiding. Matt went to pee behind a boulder. From the darkness, Matt's voice called out, "Guys, come look at this." Simultaneously, the real Matt turned on his headlamp 20 feet away. "What, you guys talking crap?" We froze. From behind the boulder, in the dark, came a soft, wet chuckle in Matt's exact voice. Then silence. Aaron gathered us close. "Nobody speak. The old man said it borrows voices. Do not answer."
The psychological siege intensified on the third day. In the sand near our camp, we found a disturbing tableau. The elongated tracks transitioned into mostly human prints, as if the thing was practicing a new shape. They led to a flat rock. Sitting in the center was a trophy, a knot of human hair, tangled brown and blonde, tied with a strip of bloody cloth. "Is that ours?" Matt whispered. We didn't wait to find out.
We abandoned our route, aiming for a side canyon that would cut days off our trip. But the desert has a way of punishing panic. A monsoon storm broke over the plateau. Thunder cracked like artillery. We were forced into a narrow slot canyon to escape the rising water in the main wash. As the rain roared and the water rose around our ankles, the voices attacked. It was a chaotic symphony of our own screams. "Jason!" yelled from the cliffs above. "Mom, help me!" in Becca's voice from the dark crevices. "Come back!" in Aaron's voice. I looked up through the rain and saw it. Perched on the rim of the slot canyon, 20 feet above, was a face. It looked like a dog's face, stretched over a human skull. It smiled down at us as we scrambled for our lives.
We survived the flood and camped on a high shelf, exhausted and terrified. That night, the creatures stopped playing games. We sat in a tight circle, backs to the center. From the darkness, a whistling began. 3 notes, over and over. Then, my voice spoke from right behind Dylan. "This is stupid. It's just echoes." I hadn't opened my mouth. The entity circled us, invisible, flipping through our voices like a radio dial. It was trying to get us to break. It was baiting us.
"Aaron, I hurt my ankle," it whimpered in Becca's voice. "You guys are babies," it sneered in Dylan's voice.
Then the air grew frigid. It whispered close to my ear in a voice like gravel grinding on bone. "You saw me." I squeezed my eyes shut. "I'll see you later," it said in my own voice.
We fled at first light. We hiked until our lungs burned, finally reaching a frontage road. An old pickup truck stopped for us, the driver confused by our haggard appearance. He dropped us at our truck. "Make sure you sign out in the registry," he said. Dylan opened the metal box at the trailhead. He froze.
There, on the page dated for the day we started, was an entry. Names: Jason, Dylan, Becca, Matt, Aaron. Handwriting: Dylan's, but rigid. Too perfect. "I didn't write that," Dylan whispered. "The ink, it's old." Something had signed us in. Something knew we were coming before we arrived.
I never went back.
I spoke to a Navajo woman months later who told me, "You went where you weren't supposed to, and you answered. Once you answer, it knows your name. It knows your scent." "What happens?" I asked. "Sometimes," she said, "it keeps what it likes." I live alone now. I keep my doors locked. But sometimes, late at night, when the house is still, I hear it. "Jay, honey, you home?" It's my mother's voice. She lives 1,000 miles away. "Open up! I want to see you!" I stand in my kitchen, gripping the counter, listening to the voice that sounds just like my mother, except for the faint, dry rasp underneath. I don't answer. I don't open the door, because I know that somewhere in a red rock canyon there are 5 sets of footprints that never wash away, and I know that the conversation didn't end when we left the woods. The wilderness followed me home.